Hello, so today I want to do a little for fun tier list. This is actually going to be me ranking the units by how much I like them. A lot of times people ask me what comms do I enjoy playing, or what comms did I enjoy playing, what units did I find interesting or fun or cool. I've actually gotten multiple questions about this, and usually I answer the same thing. It's usually like, you know, Volibear and probably Karma were like my more favorite units to play around at different points in the set. But I thought it would be really fun to just go through all the units, and I can talk a little bit about their design, how I think they fell, and how fun I thought personally they were. Now, obviously, this is just an opinionated for fun tier list. It's not going to be anything that's like guide worthy or super helpful in this, but it's more just for fun. Basically, if you don't know, I normally do guide style content on this channel. Tomorrow, I think we're getting information about set 16, so I'm actually gearing up for doing full set 16 style content, PBE, viewer games, stuff like that. So if you're looking forward to that, stay tuned. Of course, I'll always have my set 15 guides up that you can check out for the time being. But anyways, it's like a nice little closing of the package. I want to go over the units based on like how much I thought they were cool, and we're gonna rank them, all of them, very quickly. Aatrox, he was kind of boring. I felt like besides just having the 2 synergies, he didn't really do much. Even the fruits that tried to make him into a hero, like the Mechador or whatever, I forget what it's called, it wasn't super interesting, it wasn't super cool. Ezreal, I didn't like his blinking that much. I'm gonna put him in C tier. I've actually lost a lot of rounds for Ezreal just like inting himself or like dying to no reason. And also I found that like he was never a unit that I really wanted to put items on, and as an item holder I felt like he was always like inferior, so I felt he was just like not super great for me. Garen I liked a lot, but I'll put him in D tier. I felt like in certain situations he was fun, but he was just like fine. Like B tiers are like the fine units. Gnar, I think he was fine as well. Nothing super crazy. Mostly an auto attacker. He was kind of cool, kind of fun. Kalista, I didn't like. Every time I played Kalista, besides like that one patch where I skipped it because she was bugged, I feel like she's just so hard to play around. Usually I like units that snipe and can hit the backline because I feel like you could positioning diff, but it takes so long for her to get her cast off that her items, in order to be like efficient or good as an early game carry, feels like super specific. So it was really awkward to play around her, so I didn't enjoy her that much. Kale I thought was pretty cool. I like the idea. I've played around Kale in the past, and I always kind of like the idea of like, you know, reroll unit, hit level 9, like the different conditions. I think Kale was one of the more fun things for me to play around this set, just because like, you know, it gave you like this, like, not, I wouldn't say exhilarating, but it gave you like this plan that you're kind of going for, and it feels almost like those cash out traits, or like you're risking reward type of thing. I played a lot of Kale, probably way more than I should have, but it's mostly just like the dream of like, oh, if I just make it here it'll be cool, and there's like a little bit of a thrill to that, but at the same time it's a little bit degenerate, but I enjoyed playing around her. Kennen, I feel like he let me down a few times, so I put him in B tier though. Lucian I think was really cool. I always loved playing around Lucian. I thought he was really cool design. Unlike Ezreal, I felt like Lucian never really inted with his jumping around. So like he kind of did it right. You always kind of like, or when you get the fruit on him that he jumps around. There's a fruit where he like dashes to the sides back and forth. Like that one also seemed kind of cool. So I felt like he was pretty cool to play around. Malphite, I loved Malphite. Malphite being able, like, crew units were really fun for me. And then Malphite having like the giga scaling with the armor, he was actually really good early game, and it was really fun because he could just one tap units and just be really reliable as a tank. I think my most fun that I've had was like right in that like corner of patches where Malphite was really prominent, either with crew or with Jhin reroll, like as the main reroll unit. I felt like those patches were more fun to play around. I enjoyed him a lot more. Nafira I think is cool. She just pops off. Well, standard tank. Sivir, D tier. This unit fucking sucked. I lose my mind always. Sivir misses. Like when I saw her kit, I thought she would be similar in her implementation to like Ahri in previous sets. Like there was an Ahri in set 12 where she had a similar effect where she would pass through units and there was like positioning things, but it just felt like it never mattered because the unit never did damage, never killed anything, never like targeted the right units, missed a lot. It's just like Sivir was just known. Even though I liked crew, she was just like, she just let me down again. That's how it kind of felt the entire set. Syndra, I put in, Syndra, I felt like Syndra was boring. Even though she was like cool, I feel like she didn't do anything that crazy. I didn't like her that, like, I didn't find her special to me. Like, I put her in B tier. Zac, same thing, just like a tank. Mundo, the scaling, I felt like he was kind of fun. I felt like he was pretty reliable at certain points. I liked him. A tier. Gangplank, I think this unit just sucked. It was either broken or bad. It was just always a misery to see a Gangplank in your shop, because you either had to play him because he was broken, or you had to like skip him because he wasn't. So I feel like the unit just, it's like too much of a cook with like all of his extra stuff, like the generating gold. I thought it'd be fun at first, but just like the way that he kind of shaped out in this set, I kind of don't look at him in fond, like in a fond memory, so to speak. Janna, I think, is solid. The Janna meta was a little bit annoying, so when I look at Janna, I think a little bit about that. But usually I like these type of units. I like that she had a backline, just the backline unit with a frontline trade. It made like boards really interesting with her. Jin, I actually kind of like Jin. I found Jin pretty fun. His whole stick of like, you know, attacking and like all his damage is in his attacks and stuff. It was kind of cool, especially when Jin was meta. I kind of liked it. I felt like his design worked well. I felt like he wasn't overly broken, and I feel like he was a good balance of like specific with fruits, but he had 2 options. You can vary them based on your build. So he was like the OG, like, you know, you pick this fruit to play this unit type of beat, but it felt very comfortable on him, right? You didn't have to roll that deep for it. It was always at a state where it felt like well designed, in my opinion. So I felt like Jin was a lot of fun to play around, and like the Jin with the Moondor, the Jin with the other guy. Kaisa, scaling AD, like whatever. I like these type of champions, but she felt like a little bit boring to me. Katarina, I put her in B tier as well. Nothing super crazy about her. She just felt like, you know, that's a Katarina just jumping around and spinning, you know. Kabuko, yeah, I'll put him in B tier as well, just tank. Lux, C tier, she let me down too many times. Did not find her very fun. Rakan, I thought was really cool. I always like playing around Rakan, especially when he gets to like those Giga things. He's just like impossible to kill. I thought it was really cool. He was like sort of reliable. I really like Shen as well. Shen popping off, doing like insane damage numbers was always cool. Vi, probably B tier, just solid, whatever. Xayah, B tier, nothing special. Like, the Xayah didn't like scream out to me in any way. Jinja I thought was cool as well. I like Jinja a lot. He's another, like, a lot of the units that I put in A tier are either units that I just like degenerately played like Kale, or all the other units are units that I felt like didn't let me down. Like, I played them and I felt like they functioned as a unit, so it made me very happy. Like, whenever I would play Rakan, I was like, yep, my Rakan's holding those items good. Yep, my Rakan is doing his thing. Yep, he's tanking and healing, right? And that always, those are the type of things that always make me a little bit happier. It's like, yep, this is a unit that works. Ahri, I felt like was like the overkill was cool, but it didn't really do anything. Caitlyn, I thought was kind of like whatever as well. Darius, whatever as well. Jace, whatever as well. Like, all these units, they just kind of felt like, you know, reiterations of stuff I've already seen before. Darius with the tank busting was kind of cool, but none of these units I really like. It's hard to say. Like, I was never excited to see them, right? There's some 3 costs that I was excited to see that because they just like did shit. But these ones, like, they always needed very specific conditions, which made them like a little bit more boring to me. Lulu, I think, was S tier, honestly. I think that, like, you know, as much as there's criticism for it, as much as like things go right, things go wrong, I really like that they tried with Monster Trainer. I think that, like, yes, it was very frustrating at certain points. Yes, the artifacts were also really frustrating. But starting at the set out with the Monster Trainer, I was very excited about it. I felt like it was handled pretty well at the start, but then once the optimizations and the bugs started to be discovered and stuff, it really like destroyed it. I think that it was ambitious, but it like, to me at least, like, there was a couple patches where it made sense and it worked. I remember early on I would play Smolder a lot when Smolder was scaling, and then when they reworked him and Kog'Maw was good, right? Like, it's a little bit frustrating, a little bit stupid, but at least for like the fun aspect of the set, I felt like the Monster Trainer lines were a little bit more interesting and fun, especially early on when they had the whole like mechanic around leveling and stuff. But at the same time, I felt like a lot of times, like, the monsters are usually like one of them was good and the rest of the 2 were like dog shit at almost every stage. Now you can kind of play Smolder or Kog'Maw depending on your spot. I don't know, maybe because of the bugs. I'm trying to think, like, if this is a for fun tier list, like, I found this was really fun, but the bugs really ruined it for me, right? Because I can imagine, I remember, like, so I think I have to drop it from S to A just because of the bugs, which is unfortunate but true. Malzahar, I found Malzahar really fun throughout the set. I really liked Malzahar. I'm gonna put Malzahar in, you know what, we'll put him in A tier as well. I think S tier has to be like the Volibear tier for me. Nico let me down so many times. I'm actually putting Nico in C tier. I don't want people to be upset. I'm a Nico enjoyer. I always talk about how cool Nico is that she turns into a helicopter, right? I always think that's banger, right? Every set, I'm always happy to play around Nico. This set, this Nico really sucked. I think it's because Rakan was too good. Like, even when you're playing Protectors, a lot of times it was better just to itemize a Rakan 3. Like, she really was, like, lame. And nothing super fancy or cool either. And then the hero augment was like shit until it was broken. And then it was broken. And then now it's shit again because they nerfed it. It's like, oh my god. So like, I don't know. I didn't really have fun around her. Every time I played Nico, I always regretted playing Nico on my board. Like, the gold that I invested in Nico, I was like, why did I go for Nico 3? I should have just went for Rakan 3. Like, whenever I would play Protectors with her, like, earlier on in the set. And then, like, with Star Guardian, it was like, whatever. Like, she just kind of was, like, there for fun. So, you know, I put her in that C tier. It's not super fun. Senna, I felt like was in C tier. I felt like she was like those units where she was never like interesting or cool. Like, I felt like it was never correct to put items on her either. I felt like it was really hard for her to like pop off as well. She was just really, it felt like she was a little bit like confused, like a weird unit to play around. Yeah, there was like one patch that we would play Senna reroll, but like in the same patch, like a day later, people discovered that it was just not worthwhile to play the Senna, and you just played everything else instead. You know what I mean? She never really had a chance to shine, and I feel like she could have, but you know, it is what it is. Swain, Giga Swain. I win streak so many times with Swain. He gets my respect. A tier for sure. Udyr, I felt like was B tier. He was just solid, you know. It was kind of cool, but not really, because he like his kit kind of makes you feel like he would be like a damage, like attack monster type of unit, but really he was just like a giga tank with colossal, and if not, he would just like kind of be around. So, you know, I put him in B tier. Viego let me down too many times. I felt like Viego had the potential to be really strong, but every time he had those opportunities, his wings got clipped. It was kind of weird because balancing was a little bit around artifacts and a little bit around fruits. But I didn't really find him super fun to play around, because even when he was like that one patch where he was like decent with like stretchy arms, it always just felt like a little bit awkward to play around him. And I wish there was like more of like a traditional duelist style unit. Like as the 3 cost, I wanted him to be more of like, you know, just like a melee user instead of a very specific build type of user, if that makes sense. So I didn't find him very fun. Yasuo I think was pretty cool. I liked Yasuo a lot. I'll put him in B tier though. I don't think he's like an A tier. Ziggs I hated. Ziggs now is good, but for much of the set, Ziggs was just like such a grief, it felt like. He's just so hard to itemize, so hard to play around. Obviously, like, they buffed him, and they buffed everything. Like, he got a lot of buffs, and then, like, towards the end of the set, now he's a lot better. But the whole time, I didn't really find him fun. He felt very, like, lame. Like, just, like, auto-attacker / AP unit, very specific in his builds. It felt like, especially with crew, you kind of, like, cared way more about the TF, if anything. And then a lot of times, like, it just felt weird to play around Ziggs. I felt like this was the big unit that, like, with Sivir especially, I was like, yeah, this kind of sucks. Akali C tier, I really don't like the design of these types of units. I feel like it's always super toxic and it's really, like, annoying. And I also personally don't like playing those types of units that much, like the assassins, like, enter the backline type of beat. But it is what it is. I just didn't find her that fun, C tier. Ashe, I found pretty cool, but I'll put in B tier. She's basically like an auto attacker. Jarvan, I think, is I have the most fun when I play these types of units, but I'll put him in A tier. I like units where you can position, and positioning can kind of win you around. And positioning against a unit can win you around. I know there's a lot of Jarvan positioning tricks to dodge him. There's a lot of positioning tricks to get around that. And I felt like there's a level of skill expression that I find fun. Whether you're playing against Jarvan or playing a Jarvan on your own board. And because there is that like little bit of tinkering or interaction with the game that comes from the unit, that's why I rank it a little bit higher in A tier. Jinx, I actually really like Jinx this set. I'm going to put Jinx in S tier. I felt like Jinx's kit is really nice, and I felt like she's very reliable. That's the thing about her. So I really like to play around Jinx, because I think Jinx is the only unit this set that truly felt flexible. In terms of like playing a unit and like interchanging them onto many different boards. Even now, to this day, like you can still play Star Guardian Jinx. You can still play like Jinx Bastion as an intermediate. You can play like Sniper with some like, you know, into like level 9 type of thing. It always felt like she was good, and her kit's really nice because her crit gives her a lot of attack speed, scales well with crit. Also, she does an insane amount of AD. Basically, like, you know, early on when she was a little bit more awkward to play around, and later on she became a little bit broken, she kind of fell into a nice place. But no matter what, I always had a lot of fun playing around her, because I just felt like the dependability and reliability, which is what I value a lot in the game. And I also felt like I can play different things along the way, because she can stabilize with a lot of different boards. Even now, like, a lot of times when I talk to players and they ask for tips and like flex play, like I made a guide yesterday about it, like Jinx is one of those units where you can just build her and you don't have to care too much about playing deep Star Guardian or deep Sniper. She will still behave relatively similar, which is really nice. And I think that's like a cornerstone of a fun unit to play around, because it allows you to be a little bit creative, allows you to play things in a little bit of an awkward spot, which I think is nice. Cassante, I think this guy was like whatever, B tier. He's just kind of broken. Karma, I felt like was kind of fun. I had a lot of fun with Karma when Sorks were broken. If you guys don't know, I'm mostly like an AP flex type of enjoyer. So usually the units and the metas that I like are when you can basically just slam like AP items and then flex between multiple different lines. Similarly, I like AD metas for that reason, but AD metas are a little bit weirder just because of the nature of a lot of auto attackers or ADs requiring like attack speed like Gwinsu or ramping up effects, which makes your boards a little bit more focused. So usually it's not as flexible. It's more so like you have to like commit to one of two lines and then have to have like a really reliable front line or something. But with AP lines, a lot of times you can flex between the units a little bit more effectively, which is usually why I like AP flex a lot. When Karma and Yuumi were strong early on in the set, I think that's the most fun that I had during set 15. So I definitely regard Karma pretty high. At the same time, I'll just skip to Yuumi and put her right next to her. These two units together, when they were both strong, that was the most fun I had during set 15 by far. If that meta kind of existed for longer in the set, I think I would have enjoyed the set a lot more. So they both get that little A tier buff. Leona, she just felt like a normal tank, B tier. Poppy, same thing. Like besides best defense, Poppy was maybe like a little interesting and cool because she just like popped a nuke. But she never really felt like crazy. Like she has all this stuff in her kit, and it reads like fucking Relinquished over here, right? Gain a shield, deal damage when it breaks, deal to the target and another enemy, then stun. And if you stun, if their stun is how long they're stunned, then what the fuck are we talking about? But I felt like none of this mattered. Like, I was never like, ooh, that's a Poppy stun diff, or ooh, that's a Poppy shield diff. It was only when like best defense would make her like one tap, you would actually see her do anything. Other than that, she just kind of like existed and stayed alive forever. That's what it kind of felt like. So it kind of just got muddled down. B tier, like nothing super crazy or exciting. Rise, I like the design of. I like the beaming, like a single target, and then the mentor, allowing him to upgrade and having like a little bit of AoE spread. I like that his itemizations were really flexible because he has damage amp, crit from Strategist Executioner, and then he also had what's it called, the mentor giving him mana generation, right? His mentor bonus would give mana. So I felt like he was a really cool flexible unit. When Rise was strong those couple patches, I felt like it was pretty fun. The only problem is that like being a trait bot the way that he is, it's hard to like keep him relevant, because then he's always going to be strong because obviously he has like such good synergies. But I find that he was always like kind of cool to play around. Additionally, there's also those tricks with like strategists. You can put him in the front line, kind of like a target dummy on boards where you're not itemizing him. I felt like that was always enjoyable, at least to me. So I put in A tier. Samira, I'm putting in D tier. This unit just the whole set was a frustration for me, because like as one of the primary AD units, it was kind of just annoying because she was either really bad for most of the set where it was like a grief to play her, or she was like really strong because Soul Fighter boards were strong. But either way, I think I just didn't like one of the biggest frustrations I had was with her her fruits. For most of the set, they fixed it like, you know, past the halfway mark. They did like this whole fruit rework, but her fruits were really frustrating for me. And I think that's one thing I always look back on. Like Samira always had like a damage problem, and then I would roll the fruit, and her most likely fruit to appear is Crimson Veil, which just gives her more Omnivamp, which she doesn't need, right? Because she has a passive that gives Omnivamp, and she's a backline unit. So it's just so frustrating to me, because every time I try and play around her, it's so hard to find a fruit that's good, and you're basically just like it was just so awkward, right? A lot of the other units are the units that I think are fun. A lot of times they had like multiple options, even if there wasn't like, even if one option wasn't the best. Even Jinx, right? Everybody kind of isolate on Gather Force, but for much of the set, it was like a toss-up between Gather Force and Sky Piercer, and then you would kind of like play between the two of them. I remember when I made my first Star Guardian guide, I kind of talked about it. I was like, you can build her with attack speed and then go for more attack speed build. You can build her with mana gen, go for Gather Force, or you just build her with pure damage, so some rendition of attack speed and AD items, and then you go for Sky Piercer, and then you optimize that way if you're playing a Star Guardian board that also did magic damage. Now, obviously, Gather Force ended up being mathematically, I don't want to say mathematically always better, but it ended up being like the better choice that made her really broken in those middle patches of the game. But even now, like, if you don't hit Gather Force, you at least have some other options, or some options that are good, right? Samira just feels like everything is bad except like Bludgeoner and the other, like, it's just a frustrating unit to me. It was just frustrating. Set just felt like a normal tank. Volibear I liked a lot, S tier. I felt like Volibear, like, it was really sad that he wasn't very strong for much of the set, but I remember early on in the set, I had a lot of fun with Volibear. Remember when Volibear was broken? When I think back to that, and that again was, that little stretch of patches was probably the most fun I had. And I say a stretch of patches, but really it was like an A patch, a B patch, a C patch, and a D patch, because they just like fucking change the game like every 2 days. But like for those like 3-day periods where I can play Volibear, there was like all these cool positioning tricks to make him jump early that I learned, and then I was able to, like, you know, I Scooby-Dooed it. Like I VOD reviewed my games. I figured out how to make him like actually target towards backline and target towards like the exact unit that I wanted to. I was like figuring out all this tech and doing all this cool stuff. I was so excited and happy, and then they just kind of nerfed it, and then he just wasn't good for a while. And then finally at the end of the game now, like towards the end of the set, he's like really good and really flexible. But throughout the set, he was kind of like that. Even when he wasn't particularly great, he still found his way onto like mentor boards and rise boards and edgelord boards and stuff like that. I felt like he was always a little bit more like of a flexible unit and more fun, at least compared to like the other units, like the Jinx Volibear. These are like units that even to the end of the set right now, like towards these last couple patches, they're really fun to play around. They're really interesting how you can make creative boards, and they're usually the cornerstone of like stabilization and doing weird things. Like these are the ones that surprise you a lot, or at least surprise me a lot. Because the other boards a lot of times are very fixed, they're very rigid. Like think about Yumi, think about like boards where you're playing like Jarvan, even like they're even like some of the other units like Swain and whatever. Like usually the boards are really rigid to either support those units in a certain way, but a lot of times with Jinx and Volibear, you just can just slap them on, give them items, and a lot of times they actually behave. And if it kind of reminisces, it reminds me of previous sets where that's kind of like a flex thing that you can do. Just pick a unit, pick a front line, and interchange like the puzzle pieces together. And this was the closest to me of having that like itch scratched from previous sets, like I said, that I find really fun. Braum, I found he was cool. I put him in A tier. I really don't like his champ mechanic, but that aside, I felt like his design was really nice. I felt like it was very stylish as well. Part of TFT, especially with 5 costs, is making them kind of stand out. I think Braum is somebody that I will remember in this set, just like the whole luchador jumping in, you know, the Portal fans, you know, for my Portal fans, and then like spinning around and like yeeting people off the board. He's actually really cool. I think it was visually nice. It was mechanically good. Sorry, not mechanically. I think what I want to say is like he felt like a 5 cost. He was a unit that no matter what your board was, you would want to play the Braum on it. He was really good for capping your board. He has effects that really mattered outside of like the main thing. So he has like an interaction with the game in the form of those Poros. And then also he had like good synergies, good traits, and he also did like a good mixture of damage as well as tanking, as well as like he was just an everything guy. And I think that was really cool and really interesting. And he also was visually nice, right? I think that of set 15, I think he is like the picture of set 15 in my head. Which, you know, I'm not gonna put, you know, I'll put him up here in S. Sure, whatever. Gwen, I like Gwen. But she was really hard to play around. I'm gonna put her in A tier. I think she was kind of fun. Lee Sin, Loki, I don't like this guy that much, but I'm gonna put him in B tier. I'm gonna put him in B tier because I feel like with Lee Sin, nobody cares about the other 2 Lee Sins. They only care about the Juggernaut Lee Sin. And it feels like his whole uniqueness as a 5 cost is the fact that he has this stance change. You can change between different stances. And it never really felt like it was impactful. It was like very rarely would you ever want to like switch between stances. Most of the time, it was just like, oh, you know, I'll just play Executioner Lee Sin on my Executioner board, or I'll play Juggernaut Lee Sin. And then the other one, the Duelist one, he was always like dog shit. It was always bad. And it didn't feel like of an interesting mechanic. It just kind of felt like, oh, he does something like slightly different based on the board, right? He wasn't interesting or fun or cool or anything. At least Gwen was flashy, right? Like she like did the whole thing on the whole board, like visually nice. I don't know. Seraphine, I think, is B tier. I don't know, she just drops a nuke. It kind of felt like a little bit boring. I thought she was going to be a lot more fun with the scaling on all the stats, but it really doesn't feel like it matters all that much, right? Like, I thought she would maybe be like some late game item, like you toss in your items onto her type of beat. You know what I mean? Like a late game way of optimizing, you just throw all your scrap on her. That's what I thought she would be, and she can kind of insert herself into any board. But realistically, it's more so like if you're playing Seraphine, you have to angle a specific board towards her, which is the complete antithesis of what I thought she would be. But then again, she is kind of cool with the nuke, so we'll put her in B tier, not in C tier. Twisted Fate. I felt like he was fun. I'm gonna put him in A tier. And you know what? I'll put him in S tier. I'm a Twisted Fate merchant. I play a lot of Twisted Fate. I love being my scaling champs. Because I feel like it's just an easy way to optimize the boards. I think it gives you just such a good advantage. And the other thing with Twisted Fate that was great is just like the lottery of getting something is always fun. So for me at least, I found it fun. Like, ooh, what's my orb gonna be this time? I remember when I used to do VOD reviews on my VOD channel, I would also like say it, be like, hey guys, comment below, what do you think the next orb drop's gonna be, right? Like I literally do that. I'm grinning while I'm playing the game because like that's actually kind of fun, right? At least to me. But I think his design is also really good because he's really flexible with items, AP, AD scaling. I felt like he was a great unit to just slot in, and even though he usually has very specific boards, I felt like if you hit an early Twisted Fate, you basically can always play him and just like use items on him. Even before Twisted Fate was like quote unquote meta and everybody played Twisted Fate, I felt like there was a lot of room to play around him even on the early patches of the game, which I felt like was a little bit underexplored. But also something that I was experimenting with and also had a good deal of enjoyment doing. Varus, I don't know, he just shoots arrows. He didn't, like, his whole mana thing didn't really, he just kind of felt like whatever. Yone, also just whatever. Like, he's like the budget Twisted Fate. I felt like Twisted Fate just did double scaling better. He wasn't cool or anything. I don't know, he felt kind of cringe. Zyra I thought was cool, A tier. Let's do a last little look at, these are my S tiers. Do I want to move anybody up from here? I don't know, maybe Jarvan, but I feel like that would be disingenuous. I might move some people down, right? Like, my B tier is a little bit full. Like, Udyr was kind of annoying when it was Colossal Udyr. I'm down to move him down. Katarina is also kind of annoying. I don't really like playing her. I play her a lot, but I don't have fun playing her. It's more so just like doing the motions. Ashe was also kind of a letdown, honestly. Varus also is kind of boring. I'm okay with that. I demoted a couple people out of B tier. Anyways, these were the units that I enjoyed the most. These were the comps that I cut, like, you know, and you can translate that into what comps I enjoyed the most, right? A lot of times with Lulu, I really like the Smolder more so than Kog'Maw. So Lulu, if it was just like Smolder, like from early in the game, early in the set, I think she would have been S tier, but just like the way things kind of worked, it just is what it is. But this is my tier list. This is, like I said, this is just for fun. I'm not saying what units are broken, what units are strong. Also, you can completely disagree. You know, you might think that Sivir, Ziggs, and Samira are the 3 coolest units in the game. You might think Katarina is the most fun. That's your, like, you know, that's your I don't know, your Oshi or whatever you want to call her, right? Or, you know, that's fine. But, like, at least for me, these were the ones, the games I had the most fun with were games where I was able to play around these units. As I said earlier in the set, I always liked Luchador, so you can see a lot of the Luchador units are pretty high up. Like the Mundo, the Braum, the Volibear. I just felt like they were always fun and reliable, and having the stun was really cool. And then, of course, like, you know, the B tier is the average and everything else. But anyways, hopefully this was a fun video. Like I said, we're just gearing up for set 16, so I wanted to make one last for fun video, kind of reviewing everything. Tomorrow, I think we are going to get a trailer for set 16, which should give some information on what it's going to be like, and then from there we're probably going to get the information. Next Tuesday is PBE, so starting next Tuesday I'll try and do some viewer lobbies if people show up to my streams. I'm also going to try to stream on YouTube as well. I want to try and do multicasting starting next set, right? I want to do it this set, but then I kind of got tilted. I didn't really like the set that much, so I'm hoping next set is a little bit different. I'll try and put more effort into my live content in addition to the guides and other VOD review content that I offer. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and see ya. Bye bye.